Well, welcome to Sty Times. Great to see you, folks. Hey, hey. Like I always say right at the beginning, now's the time. Share it out. Share it out. I see a couple folks have. That's wonderful. Love it. Yeah, share it out. Get some more friends on over here, eh? And I'm just going to shout out some of these folks that were hanging out in the chat real quick. Um, Will the Rocker Will, he popped right in there, boy. Yeah, Harry was here first thing. Yeah. And then we had OG's son. He's got to work tonight. OG son's world. Jimmy's working. So that was so kind. He wanted to pop in and show his support, but he's got to hit the rack, man. He works the graveyard shift. And so he can't hang around, but it was so wonderful to see him pop in the chat. Then Phil's out there. Everything's spicy. Thanks for sharing it out there, Phil. The Patreon pirate. He's out there saying hello, hello. And there's Crazy Ann. Great to see you, sweetie. There's the Sterling Silver Variety Show. Great to see you. Yeah. So, um, the oh, wait a minute here. I um, I had a message pop up. You know, Facebook is a lot like the telephone. People will pop you up messages when they know you're live. I got no time to talk to you. Just like knocking on my door. Everybody where I live knows what nights you don't come knocking on my door because I'm on here, I'm live. So don't interrupt. I mean, that's rude. Yeah, I like to have things just perfect, you know. The title of this evening's discussion, No Need to Be Perfect. Oh boy. I'm glad there's no need to be perfect because, ooh, for me, that would take too much work, I think. I think that would take way, way too much work to even come close to perfect. But I think the word perfect or the word perfection has a tendency to be overused and overcredited. I mean, so many people give a lot of credit to, oh, that person, when it comes to this, and this, they're just perfect at it. And you just go, oh man, if I ever need this or this or this, I'm going to them because they're perfect at it. I hate to pop anybody's bubble, but they're good at it. They're great at it. But I assure you, they're not perfect at it. Human beings are not perfect. And there's no need to be perfect. So many people think it's so important that they just be perfect at everything. I got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect. Now we're going to talk about, as the show goes on, about perfectionists and how, to a certain point, for perfectionists, some perfectionists, it actually is harmful for them to constantly strive for perfection. And we're going to get into that a little further down the road. Georgiana, hello, hello. We're not perfect. LOL. No, we aren't. We aren't. But we can be so great. We can be good. We can be wonderful at something. We can be great at something. But it's a misnomer to say, oh, I'm perfect at this, or I'm perfect at that. Or someone else is just perfect. That person is perfect for me as a partner. Well, Compared to what? Compared to everything up to that point. But what about after that point? What if you found a partner that was just a little better than this one? All of a sudden, that's not perfect anymore, is it? Claiming something is perfect is like you've got a crystal ball and you're able to project the future and say, nothing will ever exceed this. That's why it's perfect. Well, the minute you attach the word perfect to a person, I'm sorry, guys. I haven't seen it work yet. We all have flaws of some kind. We're not absolutely perfect. We're not. The I used to, and people have said to me with certain things, "Oh man, Sty, you do that perfectly." And I told them, "Well, no, I'm good at it, but I don't know. Everything can always be improved upon. You know, there's not a lot of things in the world you can consider perfect, right?" I had someone say to me, "Look at that view." Now, this was out in northwestern Montana, and we were at this one community and we lived in a valley that had several dams along the river and created these big reservoirs, right, in between the dams. And we're in one of the communities and looking across that reservoir at this beautiful mountain range. And they said, now, if that isn't perfect, what is? I said, well, it's only perfect for the moment. They got upset with me. They said, what do you mean? As long as those mountains are standing there, that's a perfect view. I said, well, I agree with you at the moment. And I'm looking. And I go, but things change, boy, I tell you. 2 years later, both of us were at that same reservoir. And looking across, we're sitting in this park talking. And I go, look at this. Isn't that disgusting? And they go, yeah, it's a pity, isn't it? It looks terrible. I said, but I remember a couple of years ago we were down here and you said, isn't that perfect? Isn't that just perfect? I said it was perfect at the time, but it disappeared real quick, didn't it? What they had done is they had clear cut about 30% of those mountains, all the timber off of them. And they had lowered the water levels of the river, and the reservoir was gone, and it was nothing but a huge area, a couple miles across and about 10, 12 miles long of mud with a small river running through the center of it. I said, what happened to the perfection? It would just, it's not perfect. They're not perfect about it at all. And they said, well, it was perfect. I said, key word. Perfection is so subjective and it's so limited and it's so short in life. Perfection never ever lasts forever. The Chasing the Reaper. Hello there, James. The I like what Sterling Silver is saying, that that mistakes and knowing how to do something, improving from mistakes and knowing how to do something better. That's it. Is anything I've seen in life for the longest time now that I see as perfection, I always saw potential to improve upon it. Can you take that perfection and make it better? Because when you lose that perfection, it won't hurt so much because you came up with something better. Because when it comes to perfection, it's easily lost. I have people say, well, I had the perfect childhood. Perfect? Well, there you go. It comes down to your conception of what is perfection. Because I can say I had a perfect childhood up until I was 12. And then it was pretty good from the time I was 13 on up. But when I was 12 years old that year there, there was no perfection. It wasn't so perfect anymore. And then things started to change and became all new. And I found new perfections. But I can say, oh, I had a perfect childhood. But even during the perfect childhood, there were accidents, there were tragedies, there were all kinds of things that made you stop and think, times aren't good. But you blank those out and you think of perfection in a person's perception of backstories. Those are all painted with a broader brush because we eliminate a lot of the really bad stuff when we want to call something perfect. We ignore all these small bad things that were involved. And all those good things outnumbered them. So it was perfect to you. You considered it perfect. It's all perception. I can remember the very first time I saw Mount Rushmore and I see the president's faces up on that mountain. They were perfect. Sculpted, just flawless, every one of them. And I went and saw it not that many years ago, and I'm going, in its day, that was absolutely perfect. It sure looked perfect. But today, I can see, it was in its day, the technical effort of creating those faces was absolutely amazing, and they did a perfect job. And I can see today that if we were to do something like that again, it would be even more realistic. Does that make the original not so perfect? So putting the tag perfect on material things can be risky because with time and technology and our abilities, they do become improved upon. Well, where I think perfection is misplaced so many times is in relationships, in family, friends, fellow workers, employees if you're an employer, spouses. Whenever you use the term perfect, it's perfect for you in that moment. There's no guarantee it's going to remain perfect, not even for a day. But in your perception, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. Now, I say it all the time. I mean, I've got two sons that are the greatest two fellas you ever met. And for me, I've got two perfect sons. I mean, they're perfect. They're perfectly what I had hoped they would become. Their successes, it worked out It's a perfect relationship I have with my sons. But I'll tell you what a rocky road. Weavy, rocky, big potholes, and sometimes nice, smooth, flat surface. That perfection is just packed full of faults and flaws. I call it perfection because it met every expectation I could have ever imagined. And my two boys turned out to be everything I would hope they'd be at a minimum. They could have been greater, they could have been worse. But because of my pride, I tack the word perfect to it. I look at my relationship and my fortune to have these two boys to be perfect. It's a perfect situation. It's just perfect. When, in all honesty, it should be. It really should be. It's as great as it gets. That's as great as I believe it'll get. Because it's not perfect. And the wrong action or behavior between any of us could break that up completely. That whole relationship could go south on us, and all of a sudden it's not so perfect. All of a sudden it may be not perfect at all. That's right. Everything Spicy says less than perfect. That's it. I believe every one of us are less than perfect. Less than perfect. Now, striving to be perfect at something, I got no problem with that. Expecting to be perfect at whatever you do, whatever happens in life, that's too high of an expectation, because it just don't work that way. It just don't work that way. Second half of the show, we're going to be talking about how that frame of mind really has a negative impact on a person's life, or can have. Now, I think it's in everybody's nature to want to be able to imagine the perfect situation. Who wouldn't love their the their perfect dream home, the place they'd call home? Now, for me, perfect would be, and how can I do it? It's impossible. I want the Western Mountains with a northern Minnesota lake with rolling farmland like in Wisconsin, lower Wisconsin, mid Wisconsin, and a big body of fresh water like Lake Superior. All those together, and I want a beautiful, not huge, moderate sized log home with a full 4-sided wraparound porch. I want corrals with horses running in them. I want a barn that I can have a couple of livestock, maybe. I'd like to have some chickens and geese running around the place. That'd be perfect. That'd be perfect. Ain't gonna happen. Unless I win the lottery. But all the things about nature I discussed, bringing those together, that's not even physically possible. Unless you were to create it artificially indoors somewhere. Have the effect of it. And then I can see that. Oh, yeah, you build a fake mountainside with a nice waterfall into the nice northern Minnesota lake that's full of big northern pike and walleyes and lake trout. and then a Lake Superior shoreline, and a little bit of farmland effect, all inside a big building. You walk in there and you go, oh boy, do I feel at home. This is perfect. Well, no, it ain't. It's fake. It ain't perfect. It's fake. It's perfectly fake. True perfection is that's just like in engineering. That's friends of mine that are constructional engineers, and they talk about this all the time. It's funny to listen to them. They talk about perfection in engineering. They always say it's perfect if when you're done, it works. It's perfect. It worked. And they said, but we always know it isn't perfect because it's only going to work for a while. We strive to get to create something that will work as long as possible so that we can enjoy its perfection for that amount of time. Because their perfection in design, even though functional, might fall apart very early. Well, we all know that. Everybody, I'm sure, here has owned a car, a vehicle of some kind. Have you ever had it break down? Do you ever own that perfect car, that perfect vehicle? You go, man, I couldn't own a better vehicle. This is absolutely perfect. Well, it's my truck. When I bought my truck, I thought, other than a couple little rust spots on it, my truck's perfect. It's perfect. Everything works. It works great. It's awesome. I didn't even own it a day. And one of the windows goes, boom, falls down. Mechanical failure. All of a sudden, the light came on. My truck's not perfect. It's not perfect. Oh my gosh. Sterling silver. What? We're all human. We were born the way we are. Therefore, born less than perfect. That's cool. That is a cool statement. And the super chat is awesome. That it's perfect. There are imperfections to super chats too. The yeah, the IRS next year will get a whole part of that. So it's but I'll tell you what, it's about 85-90% perfect. 10 to 15% the IRS wants, But and a big thank you, big thank you, Sterling Silver, big thank you. The well, I see running water popped in the house. He's getting home a couple days early from out on the road. He messaged me earlier that he's going to be home on Monday, most likely, which is cool, which is very cool. I'll call that perfect because Tuesday is my day off. So if he gets home Monday instead of like Thursday, then he's getting home day before my day off, and then on my day off, I'll go pick him up. We'll go out for Chinese. That'll be perfect. But that's all right. If it doesn't happen, I can live with it because we don't need to be perfect. We don't need to be perfect. You know what we need to be? We need to be good. We need to be kind. We need to be, how shall I put it? We need others. That's what makes life more perfect, is having others in our lives. Being recluse and alone is the farthest thing from perfect. Do you need your alone time? Absolutely. Oh, yeah, we all need our alone time. But to be alone all the time, there's nothing perfect about that. You want to make your life feel more perfect, you need others in your life. And you need the encouragement of others to make you strive to be more perfect. Um, and striving to be more perfect, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it. My clients for the wilderness trainings, they'd struggle and struggle, like doing the bow drill to start a fire. They're out there and they're trying to do the bow drill and they're having a hard time. Finally, they get a fire going. And they said, well, I'm happy that I succeeded. I am so happy I succeeded. And I said, well, I always told them, I said, well, all you got to do is succeed once. And from this point on, you'll just keep getting better and better and better and better. You'll never be perfect at it. I've watched some guys that I know a couple different fellas. I believe they could start a fire sitting on the bottom of the ocean somewhere. These guys are the best. They are the best at starting fires with primitive materials. The one fella with a bow drill, and he makes his bow drill wherever he is. He makes it out of whatever materials are available. And he'll have a fire going in 10 minutes. The other fella, hand drill. Uses the hand drill. He get a fire going in 10 minutes. Every time. Rainy weather, the one fellow wears a big, broad-rimmed hat, and he gets right over his fire set, and that brims out over that, and he's down there with his bow drill. Gets his fire going. And it's raining down, just a downpour. He's got all of his materials stuffed in his coat stuff. He's gotten so good at it that it's hard not to put a tag of perfect. He's a perfect fire starter, this guy. But no, he's a great fire starter. It's great because I've seen him fail in good weather. There's no wind. It's dry. It's nice. And he's out there. He just had the wrong materials and he's fighting. He just couldn't get a fire going. Throw his stuff down. He says, I'll come back to it later because I'm too frustrated. Well, thank God I didn't call him perfect. He's great at it, but not today. He's not so great at it today. But he's so good at it. He'll get around that. He'll fix that. He'll get there. But he's not perfect, and he knows he's not. He tells people, I'll teach you the basics. And I took a lot of lessons from this old guy. He says, I'll teach you the basics. You become good at it. Because I can't teach you to be good. I can't teach you to be great. But I can teach you the basics. And then you take it from there and make it good or great. And he kind of encouraged my opinion of the world of perfection. Okay, guys, it's that halfway mark. Oh, excuse me. I've got to shout out. I got to shout out all my channel members. This only takes just a hair over a minute. Don't go anywhere. Hang on tight. We've got some more to talk about when it comes to perfection as soon as I get back here in about 1.5 minutes. Here we go. Yeah, during that intermission, I always get a chance to kind of glance over some of the comments, catch up a little on you guys' chat out there. What are you guys talking about with each other? I love that. I see Georgiana says, I'm making some wine for the first time. I hope it turns out perfect. I do too. I really hope it turns out perfect. And if it's a shy short of perfect, I bet you it'll be great. And as long as it's good, that's perfect. It's your first time. It's your first time. See, proper use of the term perfect. The I I have to say, I'm looking at Will the Rocker's comments and and great comments, great comments. Here's one. Love one another. Tomorrow is never promised. Absolutely. Absolutely. The behind that all the way. And then he says another one. Where was it here? Oh, I always I always learn taking your time, you'll get things done quicker. That is so true. That is so true. I am doing one of the topics on the show coming up will be hurry up and slow down. And it goes right to that, goes right to that. If you want things to go smooth with less effort and more success, hurry up and slow down. The Hey Sterling, enjoy your dinner. He's heading out. The back to perfection, back to you need not be perfect. Yeah. No need to be perfect. Now, folks that are under the impression that whatever they set out to do, they're going to be perfect about it. No ifs, ands, or buts. People like that are very careful what they pick in their lives to accomplish and do. They want to make sure that, first of all, they're capable, physically capable, mentally capable to accomplish a certain task, certain thing. And then when they set out to do it, they're determined enough to do it to perfection. Everything they do, they have that mindset. Now, I've upset people in the past with this, and I'm sorry if you're upset, but doesn't matter to me. I can't control if you get upset or not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll apologize in advance if where I go with this upsets you at all. But I have a real issue with people, with our educational system, with people that are overly proud of being a 4.0 student. I passed with a 4.0. Well, that means you pass 100%. And I have an issue with that. I have an issue with that. So you got an 18, 19-year-old that's graduating out of high school and says, I'm graduating with a 4.0. I tell myself, oh boy, your education's just started. Because if in 18 or 19 years you haven't learned to fail yet, you've got a problem. You got a problem because you're becoming an adult and you haven't learned how to fail. And I found that not all, now don't get me wrong, I do know 4.0s that are very, very reasonable people, very good people. But I've met more 4.0s that I just don't fail. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Now they think they're all that. I'm all that. Now, I hired in my career, I had to hire a lot of professional, skilled people. They needed to be educated in their field. They had to be able to prove their skill. But they also had to prove that they could manage high volume work, high volume stress, and corrective measures if there's something that goes amiss on us. And I had several 4.0s apply for these positions, and they go, I got all and they're just proud. You know, they got big fat head, and I'm all that. I'm a 4.0. I went through 4 years of college. I walked out the door with 4.0. Okay, where'd you go to work fresh out of college? Well, nowhere yet. I'm just got out of college. I want to go to work for you, and you should hire me because I'm all that. I'm a 4.0. I tell them, well, I appreciate your application and the interview. And if we have an entry level position present itself, I'll give you a call. Oh, they get insulted. I'm a 4.0. I don't make mistakes. I'm the best person here. That's why you're in a position to ask for an entry level down there, downstairs, and work your way up to this position I'm trying to hire. This position I'm trying to hire, I want to hire somebody that says, I'm fresh out of college, I got a 3.5 average, and I had to work my butt off for it. I lost 2 part-time jobs during college that they were really helping me pay the tuition, and it was rough, man, ups and downs through the whole thing, but I stuck it out, and I got my 3.5 average, and if you've got any entry level exams you want me to do or anything, I'll do my best. You know, I'm not 100%. I may make mistakes, but I will be devoted to the company. No, that fella's got or that gal's got my attention. They got my attention. They just explained to me that life is unfair, and they had all kinds of ups, downs, and failures to get to where they were. They had to fight their way through to get a 3.5. Well, that's what I wanted on my teams, were fighters, people that were going to put every effort into doing the best they can, not striving to be perfect, but doing the best they possibly can. And I've had some 4.0s just tell me flat out, you will not find anybody better than me. Nobody is better than me. That's it. That's a deal breaker right there. That's a deal breaker right there. They're telling me coming in the door, I'm better than you, boss. Sorry, man. I ain't giving you a paycheck. You go get one somewhere else. Or I may hire you into an entry level and wait for you to fail a few times down on that lower level, and then I'll work you up a little bit. Teach you a little bit of humility and how it is to be humble, because you can make a mistake. How are you going to handle it? How are you going to fix that? Because you're not perfect, and you don't need to be perfect. I don't have perfect people in my life. When people think that they are perfect, that puts them above everybody else. Sorry. To me, devotion to what you're doing, and you strive to do it the best you can possibly do it. That's the closest definition to perfection. means you're not perfect. But boy, oh boy, you're going to work hard to try to be. You know you'll never be perfect, but you're going to work the hardest you can to be perfect. And people told me, well, no, you're just not being fair, Sty. You know, those kids work so hard to be a 4.0 and on and on and on. Okay. A dear friend of mine, the, Running Water is saying this, oops, the, okay. He says, I'm popping over here. School grades just show a person is good at passing tests in a controlled environment. It doesn't show one's ability to address unexpected problems. Exactly. Now I've had family, many years of secondary school. They went to college more years than, for some people, you could take 4 people in their college time added together, and it didn't equal what these family members' college years were. And they would get in arguments with me, and I'd say flat out to them, God, you think you're so smart. And they go, but I am. I've got a PhD and 3 other degrees. And I go, you know what? All those shingles you hang on the wall, that graduation, I got diplomas for everything. I got a PhD. PhD, that's pretty cool. Can you spell it? Is what I want to ask them, you know? And I tell them flat out, all those shingles, mine are long gone. I burned them. A big box full. My office, I had one whole wall. It was just nothing but shingles of all the trainings and things that I had to go through my career. And I keep getting these notices, and I just realized I got to shut my Facebook down because it's my boys. We're in the same messenger group, and they're talking back and forth, and I'm getting the dang notifications. That ain't so perfect. But they got upset with me, and they said, well, you know, you're just a dummy compared to us. Look at all the college we got, all the education we got. I said, you know what those shingles on the wall represent? And one of them said, I'm a professional. I said, yeah, I agree. You're a professional student. I'm as guilty as them, but I don't think it's something big. Just because you have all this knowledge doesn't mean anything more except that you're really good at taking in information. Now apply it. Can you apply it? Well, that kind of shut them up. Well, you're not so perfect because all the education in the world does you no good if you never apply it. You know, the old saying about basket weaving 101. Okay, so you got millions of students over the years learn basket weaving. How many of them ever applied that out in the world? And they say, yeah, but you shouldn't lessen them for learning that. I'm not lessening them. I'm saying it has absolutely no application. So that was just information gathering. It wasn't a true education. To me, education is you learn something, the information, and then you go and apply it. Once it's been applied, now you can say, I'm a professional because I've taken my book learning and I put it into real world circumstances and I applied it. And I applied it long enough that I had failures along the way. And I learned how to fix those failures. Now I'm educated and I'm a professional. Still not perfect because we all fail. The the you know I didn't get that notifications turned off. Doggone it! They're goofy boys. They're like two old ladies talking on Facebook. The but here's an example of somebody that let their 4.0 actually. Now, this isn't the only time I've seen it happen, but this is one that stood out the hardest for me. Let their 4.0 literally tear their life apart. When I went to college to get my accounting degree, there was a group of us. My ex-spouse and I, we went to college together to get our accounting degrees. And there was a small group of people. It was surprising because we were in our 40s when we decided to get our accounting degrees. I had kept books all the way up to that point, but I just wanted the shingle to add to my portfolio, for work advancement, blah, blah, blah. You become a CPA and you work in high finance for a company, and you're also a CPA. That goes a long ways, So it's just career building stuff. But we ended up with this group of people, and we just stuck together, and we went through our college days pretty smoothly. My ex-wife and I, we would have been 4.0s, but guess what? We caught mono right in the last year, in the last semester, and we weren't able to be on campus, and we were doing everything remotely, and they took points away from us because we weren't there in person. At that time, you didn't have e-learning like we have now. So if we missed a lecture, we'd lose a couple points because of it, Otherwise, we would have come out 4.0s, and I didn't care. I could care less. I wanted a 3.0 or higher. That's all. Well, we both graduated with 3.5s. The scale that was in our little group. Now, our accounting classes had usually about 30 to 40 people each semester. It's a good group. There was about 5 of us that were just tight knit, and it really helped. It got us all through real smooth, easy peasy. But this one gal, God, she's the sweetest thing you ever met. Oh, she was sharp. Book learning sharp. You show it to her in written form, and she'd grasp it, and she'd hang on to it, boy. She could pass any exam thrown at her. In fact, there was one exam where she got 5 questions wrong in the exam, and she insisted that it was the exam that was at fault, not her. I went and I looked, and I got the same 5 questions wrong. And that made me think. And I talked to the wife, and she said, yeah, I got the same 5 questions. I said, uh-oh. So we did some research, and we proved those 5 questions, his answer key was wrong. He had to qualify those questions, throw them all out for everybody else. Even people that got the answer right, that got thrown out because those questions were faulty. That's how sharp she was. She would notice stuff like that. By the end of school, she was so proud of herself being a 4.0. She was the only 4.0 out of our graduating class. Oh yeah, big deal. It was a big deal. But I had warned her. I said, I said, girl, someday you're gonna make a mistake. Don't let it bother you. You know, call your friends, call anybody you need to, um, and talk through it because we all make mistakes. Don't worry. She goes, I won't. She says, you know me. It ain't happening. She went to work for her family owned an accounting firm. She went to work for them in like a mid-level position. It was a good paying position and a good amount of responsibility. Not a ton, but a good amount. And she worked for them. It was about a year, and she was doing excellent, doing absolutely excellent. Well, her caseload started getting quite large. She was getting a little bit overwhelmed, not sleeping well, blah, blah, blah. But life was having its way with her. She made a transposition error on somebody's accounts. Well, the senior accountant in the firm caught it, looked at it, and said, whoa, you made an error in this company's accounts. It's just a transposition error, easily fixed, but would you go in there and adjust that and fix it? And she found it, and it was just transposition error, had two numbers out of place. She flopped those numbers back, boom, 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 boom. All the balances came back to normal. Everything was good. The next day, she didn't show up for work. Didn't show up. No call, no show. Their family's business, and she doesn't let anybody know, just doesn't show up for work. They're trying to call her at home. No answer, no answer. And one of them chased down her husband and told him, we haven't heard from her. She hasn't been to work for 3 days. And we're trying to reach her, but we're never getting an answer at your house. And he goes, well, I'm out at work during the day, because he worked a long job, 12, 14-hour a day worker. He goes, I don't know why she's not answering the phone. I just know that I'm not going to speak for her. You need to get her to talk to you. And I'll let her know that you guys are concerned, but I'm not getting in the middle of this. 3 months. Well, of course, then because it went on for a little over a week, and finally they sent her a letter, a certified letter of termination. Told her, we love you, but we got to fire you, man. All your accounts have been sitting there for a week. Nobody's touched them because you're supposed to be coming in and take care of them. Got to let you go, even though you're a family member. Got to let you go. Well, nobody heard from her for about 6 months. I finally got a hold of one of their family members and said, what the world has gone on there? Nobody's heard from her. Not even her outer friends, And they gave me the story that there was a small transposition error, and they told her to fix it. She fixed it, went home, and never came back. I said, she doesn't know how to fail. She's a 4.0. A 4.0 that convinced herself that being a 4.0 makes you all that. And she found out she wasn't all that. And she didn't go to anybody for support to help her beyond it. She hadn't learned to fail, and the failure messed her up. Now, that was years ago. She won't even do bookkeeping for her husband started his own business. She won't even do the bookkeeping for her husband, their own private business. She won't crunch numbers for him at all because she's afraid she'll fail again. And I talked to her husband a few years back, and he said, I don't think she'll ever get over it. It's like traumatic stress syndrome, she's just not able to get beyond the fact that she failed. And she feels that she failed not just herself, but her family, her husband, the world. Now she's a total failure instead of a 4.0. And to me, that was an absolute shame, absolute shame. I really do think that I don't think anybody should ever graduate the perfect student. I don't think that should even be possible. They should challenge them so much that they have to fail at something. That would be teaching our kids, and that would be doing a really good service for them, is teach them there's no need to be perfect. And we're going to show you there's things that you just will not be able to get through without a little bit of failure. You'll have stronger, more confident kids that are willing to strive for perfection but won't expect it. I'll do my best, and that's the best you're going to get out of me, is my best. That means a lot. That means a lot when somebody can actually say, I've done everything I could to do my best. And if that isn't good enough, you can kiss my hiney. That would make it a perfect day. That's right. That's right. I made a boo-boo. I fixed it. And if you don't like it, yeah, you know where you can kiss me. Yeah, yeah. Hey, I see Canoe Hound jumped in. There's a great individual. Dennis, it is awesome to see you. Plain old Chuck's out there chatting away. It's great to see all of you. It's been a great evening. Tomorrow's let's see. Yeah, it's Friday today, by golly. Tomorrow's my day off. My YouTube day off. Doesn't mean I won't be on YouTube, but I won't be doing anything on the channel. But don't forget Sunday, Sty Story Sunday. Don't forget it. And then on Monday, another Sty Times. We got a good topic coming up on Monday, and hope to see you all there. And share it out, guys. Let's get some more folks coming over here and hanging out for these Sty Times. You know, I get quite a few after the show views. I get quite a few. So there's folks that just can't be here at this time of day, and they catch it later, and they apologize, and I tell them no apology needed. You don't have to apologize. If you can be here, you'll be here, right? But Monday is a fun topic for me, so I hope to see you all on Monday at the least at 5 p.m. Central Time, but Sunday for Sty Story Sunday, 7 p.m. Central Time at the Sty Shack. So hope to see you then, and you all have a very, very nice day. Have a perfect day. What the heck? Have a freebie on me. Bye-bye, folks.